says, in addition to restoring doctrine and priesthood authority, the Lord had made it clear through earlier revelations that he also wanted to restore a formal organization, his church. So that's the because I said so, right? But that's interesting is that those things they're related, but the doctrine and priesthood authority can exist independent of the church. The church is built upon those things. Right? You have to have the doctrine, you have to have the priesthood authority in order to establish the church. But you can have the true doctrine and true priesthood authority on the earth without there being a formal church organization on the earth. That's just an interesting thing to keep in mind, right? Because that's what you were alluding to here, is that the priesthood could organize in different ways. And we see that in the scriptures, that there are times when it's just a pure patriarchal order on the earth, right? The Adam to Noah, right? The great patriarchs, as Abraham, the fathers, as Abraham says, right? There was a time when the gospel was propagated in the patriarchal order without a church. You see it in the Book of Mormon too, with Lehi, where they make it to the promised land, and for a good period of time, it's just a patriarchal order where the gospel is being taught, and until you get to Messiah and Alma, and then a church is formally established because of the situation of the people and the need to proselytize and bring people unto Christ through formal proselytizing efforts.
I thought you were going to finish that thought, or I thought you were going to go further with that. Sorry. It's interesting to note that prior to Christ, obviously, and I'm speaking of kind of the old world, not necessarily in the Book of Mormon. Things were a little bit different during that time period. But as mentioned, the patriarchal order was the way the gospel was spread and was disseminated. And then when Christ comes, he sets up his church. And why? What was ultimately the outgrowth of that? Well, after he, ascends and his church is organized, now they start going out and preaching to the Gentiles, right? They start spreading Christianity and the gospel to all the world, and start allowing it to go all over. But however, they were not able to ultimately get back to a point that was able to merge or combine the patriarchal order with the church. And so you had one and then the other, but now in the restoration of all things through the prophet Joseph Smith, now you see that through the temple, the church administers the temple ordinances, but through those ordinances, we are now able to, within our individual homes, reestablish the patriarchal order. And so it really is kind of a fulfillment of all things. It really is a restoration of all things, because now we have both. And you and I talk about that, and we certainly highlight that, but at some point we'll have to really, really kind of hammer home just how amazing, how miraculous, and what a blessing it is to really have both, where at the same time we're proselytizing and trying to find any and all of the elect who are seeking truth and knowledge. At the same time we're proselytizing and spreading the gospel, the Lord is also allowing for this great patriarchal order to be established.
Thank you for watching. If you found this content spiritually enlightening, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Like the gospel, these little things make all the difference, and it helps the algorithm push out better content for everyone to enjoy on YouTube.